what's going on? Welcome to the Mile High Five podcast. I'm Doug Cunnington, and today we have Pete, Mr. Money Mustache, hanging out with me. We're going to do a mailbag episode. So welcome, Pete. How's it going?
Well, thank you. It's great to be back from 5 minutes ago.
And yep, if you are tuning in, we actually recorded another episode. So if you missed that one, we did some other mailbag questions. And one question that I enjoy is, what have you changed your mind on? And I feel like we could do a whole podcast where it's just like, I had this idea, but now I have more information, or I've grown as a person, and now I think something different. So, Pete, what do you have for this episode?
I didn't. I only made one for the last episode, which was changing my mind on housing. So you're going to have to carry this question entirely yourself.
Perfect. Okay. Well, you'll ask me some good follow-up questions. Number one, for a long time, I said, oh, I'm an introvert. And that kind of painted me in a box. And I thought, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm an introvert. But it turned out that I don't think I'm an introvert. I think maybe I thought it was cool, which I don't know why I would have thought that exactly.
Yeah.
But I have observed other people who are truly introverted, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not that introverted. So I'm probably an ambivert / I have my foot in both extroversion and introversion, and it doesn't completely wear me out to be in a big group of people, but sometimes I want my downtime and I'm totally okay with it. But that's one thing where I was just like, I'm not an introvert. I don't need to say that. And I think when we say it and we think it and we tell other people, it's painting you in a box, and there's no reason to do that.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, like every characteristic of humans, your introversion versus extroversion is a spectrum, not a binary, one or the other thing. But then also, if you read the Susan Cain book called Quiet, which is all about introverts and why they're a great, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be excited about, because quietly excited, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like almost all the inventions and progress and science comes from introverts. So, but the real definition isn't whether you like people. It's, according to her, it's whether you like to recharge. How do you recharge? Do you recharge with people time, or do you recharge with solo time?
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought I was an extrovert because I like being with people so much. But then when I read more carefully the definition, I'm like, oh, actually, I'm more of an introvert, because I really do recharge from a huge weekend of talking to people like the whole day with like solo time. So
okay,
I had the opposite realization from you. Interesting.
Okay, very good. Very similar is sort of like mental framing. So I'll add two in here, and it's sort. I guess the introversion thing is sort of a subset of this. But I also hear people say like, "Oh, I'm not good at this thing," and it's like, don't say that. Like, you can be good if you put time into it. It's like not, most people aren't like naturally good at something. They probably put time in, or they were obsessed with it and they got some hours in and they practiced at it, like maybe guitar or cooking. And actually we went to a live variety show. This guy, Alton Brown, he writes cookbooks. He had a TV show, or a few TV shows on the Food Network. And in the Q&A, someone said, I'm not a good cook and I have a question. He's like, just stop. Like, don't say you're not a good cook. Like, you can't, like, you're a good cook. You're a cook. Like, it's okay. You just got to practice and put some time in. So that sort of thing. And I have heard people say like, oh, I don't like people. It's like, well, you're going to have to fucking figure it out. Like, people and relationships are like one of the most important things. So if you say, I don't like people, like, you have a uphill battle. So, and I think, it's kind of funny, like comedians say like, I hate people, and they make fun of people. But at the end of the day, like, you need to have friends, and you need to be able to like operate and go places without everything annoying the shit out of you. So you need to fucking figure it out. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. When you say something, it automatically becomes at least somewhat true. We kind of create our own reality by just biasing our own opinions. Like, I suck at this, or I'm good at that. Even though there's also some truth, some people are born with more likely to have athletic abilities and music abilities and all that stuff.
Yes.
But, when you punish, if you say that you're bad at something that you want to be good at, I'd say that's pretty counterproductive, because it's just going to make it even harder for you to get those skills, and you hear your own voice saying it and you're going to believe it. So, and I also agree that being good with people and liking people is one of the biggest advantages you can have as a human being.
Yeah.
It makes sense, of course. because things are just easy and better and more fun for people. And like suddenly everything you got, like, oh, I have a friend who will lend me their mountain house and I can help people with this other stuff. Like everything becomes both more fun and less expensive and more prosperous the more you happen to like people and the nicer you are to them.
Yeah.
So that is a great thing to never say or never choose to be bad at.
So let's get into some of the questions here. And this one is from our friend Rakesh. Is Pete still snowbirding to Arizona in the winters down to cul-de-sac? And was that an experiment or a permanent thing? What'd you learn from the experience?
That's so funny. I still get this. In fact, I often get questions like, are you still enjoying Arizona? Like people think I moved there, even though from the very beginning, it was just a single 4-month vacation that I took to check out this new neighborhood apartment complex called Cul-de-sac. And it was great, but I haven't repeated it because it made me realize how much I love Colorado, really, like just the culture and our friend group here in Longmont and even the climate. But I just like, there's no place like home. So
yeah,
I would still do 4-month vacations to other places in future winters though, or even back to Arizona. Mm-hmm. But I like to experience new things each time rather than go back and do the same thing.
Yeah, the novelty is important. Anything that you learned from the experience and being down there or observations?
Well, it was kind of a mixture of things. So I was there to support the cul-de-sac development and I enjoyed a lot. I tried my best to contribute in terms of like helping create community there and create awareness of it and stuff. But at the same time, thing that I found interesting is I didn't have a job with them or anything. I didn't have any authority. So like I had all these ideas that I thought would make a pretty big difference, but I didn't really have the power to implement them. And I would put these suggestions, and talk to the staff. And it's kind of funny because people just weren't listening to me because they had no incentive to listen to me. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I'm used to being the boss in my normal life. It's weird that people aren't doing what I'm saying, which is kind of funny. So it made me basically have to feel like a normal person. And then the only time that my ideas got activated were when I was talking to the guy who I'm friends with, which is Ryan, who is a CEO of the whole cul-de-sac company. So like I'd have to tell him and then he would tell people and then it would happen. But if I just told the people directly, it wouldn't happen. So that was actually kind of frustrating. So if I ever go back there, I'm going to have to get Ryan to give me an official job, director of mustachianism or whatever. He's like, everyone listen to Pete because he's going to make some good changes here.
Yeah.
And, it was something to get used to, but I prefer just being back here where I can be the boss of my own little enterprises.
Yeah. There's something fun about being the boss. Like I couldn't imagine working for someone else again.
Yeah.
Can you? Did you ever think about that or why think about it?
Yeah. Right. I would work for someone as long as we were really in tune with like our goals, and like a good boss listens to the feedback of their subordinates, of course, like their team, because otherwise you're just, you're not getting the strengths of those people who work for you. You're just micromanaging, which is like known to be the worst idea for being a boss.
Right. Very good. Next question from Steven. So at age 50 plus, and you're 50 now, right?
Yep, still 50 even.
50 even. Okay. So what are you focusing on for your health and fitness besides biking and eating healthy? And Stephen notes maybe cold plunging, sauna, other stuff like that. And yeah, I'll just turn it over to you.
Well, the most important thing for fitness, I think, is weight training. Like I think everybody from like, child age to until you can't move anymore. Like even senior citizens should be lifting weights like pretty much every day because it's like by far the most valuable thing you can do for making all your body systems just keep working. And then of course the other stuff like biking and walking and running outside, that's like the supporting activities, but weight training is number one. And then of course eating healthy. I guess that's not all that common, but I've always assumed like people who are following our stuff already know that you just eat healthy food. You don't eat candies and desserts. You just eat like whole foods. That's kind of like level one. Even though it's rare, probably like 10% of people in our country are eating what I would consider healthy, or maybe even less. But but his question about cold plunge and sauna is interesting. That's all kind of new to me, like in the last 5 years that I've really even gotten into these things. And now I've kind of hooked. Like I'll jump in a sauna whenever I have the opportunity. I used to hate being hot. Now I love it because I realize it's good for you. And as soon as they told me it's good for me, it just flipped the whole thing. Instead of saying, oh, this is terrible, I'm hot, I'm like, oh, good. How can we make it hotter? Like, look at all this sweat. It's really funny. And it's helped me enjoy summers in Colorado more when it can be 100 degrees. Because I'm like, this is nothing compared to a sauna. A sauna is like 160. So this is 60 degrees colder than the ideal sauna. And then cold plunge, which I don't really do like the icy cold plunges because it just hurts too much. Mm-hmm. I do whatever makes me feel shocked, but not like extreme skin pain. So I have that in my backyard. I have a hot tub that in the winters I keep it hot for just normal fun Colorado hot tub purposes. And in the summer, I just cool it down and I just leave it open during chilly nights. So it evaporatively cools. And then I keep it covered during the day so the sun doesn't heat it up. So it stays at like 60 degrees, which is plenty cold to wake you up. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll cool it down with some ice if I want to. But those things are like the icing on the cake. I don't think they're the foundation for health. They're just like some fun extra stuff you can do that's healthy.
Yeah. And people may be thinking, 60 doesn't sound that cold. You see other folks with, proper chilling and all that stuff. And then maybe it's in 40 degrees or in the 30s or so. But like 60 is like feels extremely cold if you're just like popping in from the normal summertime temperatures around here. Yeah,
it still shocks you and your heart goes up and you're like, and you get more and more used to it. So by doing that, now I can jump into water that's in the 50s or the 40s and at least be fine for a little while. Like I also jump into the creek behind my house because there's a couple swimming holes that are deeper. And in the early season, those were really cold because they're coming down from the mountains.
So cool.
And I still enjoy it. And I just did some, cold plunging on the vacation I was on recently in the mountains. And so I'll jump in cold water or hot water or air. I think it's good to expose yourself to extremes is the main point. But the cold plunge, like I will mention though, because we're still in the summer season here, the start of the summer, it's crazy how much energy it gives you. Like I'm always on a quest to get more energy and not need naps every day and other things like that. So I'll try anything. And jumping into cold water, even 60 degrees, is the biggest change that I've found. I can go from like, oh, I need a nap. Like my day is done. And I jump in that thing for like 2 minutes and I'm already like putting plates onto the barbell to do some squats, which normally is like the thing I only do when I have tons of energy.
Yeah.
So it can change that quickly.
Wow. And whenever I hear people talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do some cold therapy or whatever. But I don't. So for a while I was doing like cold showers and I think it may have been a couple Januaries ago. I think I did whatever, like 25 days. Like I was just like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'd get up early, turn it on cold, jump right in. I'd stay in maybe like 90 seconds or so, like not a super long time. But it definitely wakes you up. Yeah. How long do you stay in?
Just as long as I feel like it. It's usually a couple of minutes. But your point about the cold shower is a good one too, because like everybody has a shower in their house and a fun beginner thing to do. And don't do it in January because you're already too cold. But at this season, when everybody's too hot all the time, first of all, if you live in Texas, for example, where everybody keeps their air conditioning at their house for just stupid temperatures like 70 or less, like you got to crank that up. So it's always pushing your frontier of comfort. And then secondly, when you jump in your shower, instead of waiting for the water to warm up, you just get in right away and it'll eventually warm up. But meanwhile, you get a few seconds up to a minute of cold water exposure and you're like in a giggle and gasp and jump around a bit. And that's going to spike your energy and your adrenaline. And then the water comes hot and then you can take your normal cleaning shower for that next 2 minutes. And then at 3 minutes, that's the limit because 3 minutes is the maximum shower length. But then you got an energy boost and you got cleaned. And then suddenly your house feels colder because you kind of shocked your system with that initial cold blast. So, then eventually you might not even need the hot portion of the shower.
Yeah.
Especially with hot climate weather. The water supply is coming out of the ground warmer than it is in other places. So, it might be 80 degrees already, which is plenty hot to take a shower. You don't need to have a hot shower.
Yeah. All right. And I'll mention, I haven't been doing sauna recently, but I have since I was I think we had one at the Y that I went to. So like since I was a teenager, I've like dabbled with saunas, and we actually have one here at the rec center, which is pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I've gotten out of the habit, but like you said, now that it's hot, I'm like, all right, go in the sauna for a little while, like 20 minutes or so. And you pop outside, it's 100 degrees, but it feels pretty pleasant.
Yeah. And I also
It's
have
weird.
to put in a shout for the Mustachian invention, which so far I haven't seen anyone else promoting this, but the car sauna, where I go to a rec center where they're burning electricity to heat up a little box that you can sit in, and then they have to air condition the rest of the building, including the heat that's leaking out of the hot thing. It's like such a waste when your car is already 150 degrees right there in your driveway. So just go out, put a towel on the seat. You could sit in the back seat so that way no one sees you through your windshield and laughs at you. And then just close the doors and let yourself bake in the sun. And it's exactly like a sauna. You bring in a podcast, bring in a glass of ice water, and you're just using the natural heat of the world. And you're training yourself to not be afraid of hot cars either. So now when I get into my car, it's not like, oh, turn on the air conditioning, I'm suffering. It's like, it'll cool down when it wants to cool down. Let's just drive. So anyway, I think everybody should try the car sauna and then share it on Instagram and do the hashtag car sauna so that we can all be part of a club.
I briefly, like when I had the truck parked outside, very small cab, it was really hot. And I did a couple of times, I would sit in there and sweat. I didn't just go to the truck to do that, but like to your point, if I was heading to the store or whatever, I would do that.
It's surprisingly, like, I know it sounds really silly, but it's not any sillier than a normal sauna when you think about it, like objectively. So I do that pretty regularly. So if it's 100 degrees in Colorado, I'll sit in the car and then I get out and then I'm totally drenched with sweat, just like a real sauna. And then I open the door and then this cold air comes in, like it's 100 degrees and it feels icy cold because first of all, you're covered with sweat and it's evaporating. But secondly, your body has just gotten so badass and it's accustomed to 150. And then, it's amazing. And then I'll like take a garden hose shower and then I'll jump in the cold plunge. So this is all stuff in my backyard. And then I'll get back to work.
This is all ridiculous, but good tips.
That's smart. Well, sometimes smart and ridiculous are the same thing.
It's cutting edge, yeah. Okay, Julie has this question, also somewhat related to health. It's sleeping related. You both said that you wear earplugs to bed. She wants some recommendations on brands, and she was also mentioning that she likes it, but she also hates it. She likes the peace and quiet and extra sleep, but she feels vulnerable that she can't hear. And she also says she can't see without glasses. And basically, she just feels vulnerable. So, what do you think?
This is a very unique question. And I like the way, actually wish you had read it word for word with Julie's writing, because it was nice. But anyway, it never occurred to me that, but her point is actually totally right. I'm like a sitting duck when I'm sleeping because like I have my eye shield on, I have earplugs on, and people could just walk into my house and steal everything and I wouldn't even notice. Which is kind of the whole point, because otherwise I do wake up for dumb reasons, like there's a woodpecker outside or even just like random stuff in the neighborhood will happen. And I'm a light sleeper normally, so I need the earplugs and the eye shield in order to sleep a sound night of sleep. So her other question, which is about the brands, I don't have any brands. I just buy the yellow fluffy chunks of foam that are cylinder shaped, buy the 100 packs. And they're usually used for construction or safety. They'll have them in the workplace. But I just buy 100 pack and work my way through those. You know, when they start to get crusty, you can grab a new pair. But it's amazing. I would totally recommend for anyone who doesn't get irritated by earplugs and eye shields to try it, because you really do sleep better most of the time. If you don't have any light coming through your eyes, then you don't have to be so meticulous about the blackout curtains and everything, because you have a blackout eyelid instead. However, she also talks about being vulnerable, and that's something, individual. If it compromises your sleep because you're worried about being vulnerable, then it's pretty counterproductive. On the other hand, if you're just irrationally worried about being vulnerable, like you live in a suburban safe neighborhood, no one's coming into your house, whether you have earplugs or not. So you don't need to be on high alert. And if you really cared, you could use some kind of high-tech solution, like motion sensing cameras that do an alarm or whatever else. But I just don't worry about that stuff. I just sleep soundly unless somebody wakes me up.
And I also use the foam ones. However, I somewhat felt vulnerable. And also Elizabeth was like, so you're wearing earplugs so you can't hear anything. And she kind of provided the vulnerability, like acknowledgement. And she was like, well, I don't want to be, I mean, she's a little bit more high strung and worried. Like if any noise happens, she's like, someone breaking in, that's that sort of thing. But anyway, I don't wear them every night. Typically it's only like if there's something noisy happening, or if I'm traveling and I'm in a hotel, depending on what's going on around there. If it's a little noisy, I will wear earplugs. So like all my backpacks and there's earplugs everywhere.
Oh, cool.
I also just picked up, it's D'Addario, which is a guitar string brand, and they have different accessories, and they have earplugs that they're not as like sound dampening and effective as the foam ones, but it does let a full sort of spectrum of sound. So you're supposed to wear those like it shows.
Yeah, I do that. My son and I got us both for when we go to these loud EDM shows.
Yeah.
They're called musicians' ear plugs.
Okay.
And they let the treble through, so you're not just, it doesn't sound like everybody's playing in a pillow factory.
Yeah. So those could be an option, because I don't think they don't mute as much out. So like you may be more comfortable if you wear those. And I've worn them a couple times and they do a pretty good job. There's a few brands out there. You mentioned whichever one's the
cheap and fluffy.
Yeah, cheap and fluffy. Okay. So as we're moving on, next is, what things are you working on these days that light you up? That's from Bobby.
Yeah. Not too much different. I mean, the coaching thing is a little bit new, which I mentioned in our previous episode. People have to tune into that if they want to learn the details. But I've been working on the HQ co-working building a bit more in the last year, doing renovations and work there and meeting people, which is nice. And then working on my own house and helping friends with their houses, which I'm always doing too. And I've been hanging out with young kids again, which is nice. So like I'm in a relationship with someone who has young children, and we've all become like I get to be the fun uncle now with these little guys, and been like doing all the things I used to do with my son, like playing in the park and throwing sticks over the waterfalls and stuff like that. That kind of stuff, it just really brings me back, and it's really fun to have an influence on another, sort of generation of kids. And it just reminded me how much I've always liked kids, because I kind of am one. So I get credit for being a kid, because they're like, oh, look at that guy. He's such a good dad, or such a good whatever. I'm like, no, I'm really just being myself.
Yeah.
But playing with other kids. So, climbing trees is kind of my favorite skill of the year. Climbing trees really well and teaching kids how to climb trees really well too.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, for me, I'm still enjoying the podcast a lot. Like when Carl quit, obviously I had an opportunity to just be like, I'll hang up the microphone and I don't have to do this. But it's fun. Like we get to have this conversation, other people get to hear it. And
thank goodness Mile High Fi did not shut down.
Yeah, thank you. And a lot of people have mentioned how much better the show is without Carl, No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Carl won't hear this. He doesn't listen to the show. But a lot of people were very happy that I continued on, and I think it's it's working as I'm having like great guests come in, co-hosts come in, and I think, there's also the opportunity to have another partner come in. Turns out I like to control everything. So as I thought about, if you play it out, I'm just like, I just want to do what I want. I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. But yeah, it's super fun, and I still enjoy it. The other thing is the music stuff. So we talked about jamming and the open jam. I can't wait. Maybe we could schedule one for this weekend. I need to look at the schedule, but like super fun, and just it does light me up. Like the social portion of it is fun, but then also it's like working my brain, and you work on something that you're not good at, and it doesn't sound right for like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's under my fingers now and I can play it. And it's like, shit,
yeah.
I can't believe, you know, there's no progress for a while. And then all of a sudden you bust through the plateau.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. I should have had that too, is playing music with other people, something I've done more this year than a lot in recent other years. And it's always on the list, you know, when people ask you to write down what's important for you, as like, I should really play more music with people, more like where you're just jamming on instruments. So this year, especially starting with the HQ Christmas party, where it was like the talent show and everybody came and played in bands. And we've been doing more since then. That has been a huge upgrade to my life. I should have started 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always done a little bit, like had a garage band experiences, but it was just way too rare. So doing it more so that you start getting better is a great thing.
Maybe in a year, there'll be a couple fire bands around here. It's just like, we have time.
Yeah.
We got a place to rehearse. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. So Neil has sort of a longer question. Do you want me to read the whole thing? Because
maybe I could summarize it for him. I read this one, I thought about it a lot, and it really got me fired up. And initially it was like, I could do a whole day of talking about this that nobody would want to listen to because I have so many opinions. But anyway, Neil's point is, your splurge of a Tesla Model Y 2 years ago has seemingly improved the already amazing experience of your road trips. However, it's become all controversial to have Teslas now because of Elon Musk's political involvement. So what do I do? You know, because like my wife doesn't want me to get a Tesla, but I still want one myself. And they're really cheap used too. So it's no longer a splurge. You know, it's like the same price of normal cars to get these awesome Teslas. So how would you approach buying a Model Y in 2025? And are there any other electric cars that are worth considering? So without doing my whole rant, my main point, I think, is that this kind of gets to the heart of Mustachianism, which is, do you follow the crowd in making decisions? Or do you do your own research and decide on what's best for you? Because if you're going to follow the crowd, why don't you just get a dumbass pickup truck and drive that around with nothing in it, you know, and get 10 miles a gallon? So the real question is, what's the right car for you? And for me, like the engineering, I was a Tesla fan since like, you know, decades, long before Elon Musk was in the news at all. And I just follow everything about that car. I watched like the 2-hour YouTube videos where they take apart the heating system and talk about each valve and how it moves coolant around the system. And I'm, you know, and these cars are the best engineered and they're really efficient and they're ridiculously fast. I mean, I chose the Tesla because it's like a Lamborghini and a minivan that also gets twice the gas mileage of the best Prius. It's like it gets 125 miles per gallon equivalent. It's so efficient on the electricity it uses. And to me, I don't care, you know, about anything else other than that. And then at the next level, Tesla is not Elon Musk. Tesla is 130,000 people, and the people who design the cars are not Elon Musk. It's Lars Moravi and Franz von something, like these two gentle, soft-spoken guys. So if you really want to understand Tesla, you should watch the Jay Leno's Garage episode where those two, you know, people who actually designed the Model Y talk about it, and Jay Leno asks them all these questions and they're just like super nice. I mean, yes, Elon Musk owns a lot of shares of Tesla, as he does of all these other companies. And yes, he's an autistic billionaire who does, you know, a lot of really shocking stuff just because he doesn't understand people's emotions. He's like a technical genius who is has the emotional maturity of someone who has that mental condition, which is like sort of like a 2-year-old, right? So he has rants and raves and like got in a big fight with Donald Trump over stupid stuff. Like that should not affect your car buying decision. You know, it should be, that's a whole separate thing. So anyway, and then the other thing is, as a Tesla owner, the stuff you read in the news doesn't actually apply in real life. You know, like nobody's giving me the middle finger. Nobody's saying, you should sell your Tesla because of Elon and stuff. Like it's actually just, everybody has this car. It's the best-selling car in the world for the last 2 years. And it's the number 4 best-selling car in the US. So they're everywhere. You're just part of an anonymous crowd. So if that's your issue, like social pressure, and you're afraid of it, you're not going to have that problem driving the same car as everybody else, which is what the Model Y is. So you can just quietly have the best car that's ever been made. You can buy them for like $20,000 used nowadays. And then you could stop watching the news because you shouldn't even know that Elon is controversial if you're following Mustachian principles, because that's news shit. And unless you're friends personally with him, you shouldn't even know what he's doing. So, yeah.
All right.
There's my turn into a rant after all.
That's okay. This is what the people want. I was going to say, like, after many of my friends have gotten a Model Y and have ridden around, they're great. They feel awesome. And I'm not in the market for a car, but if I was, it would definitely be at the top of the list. And I know I chatted, I'm pretty sure Carl is open with this. So hopefully, I'm not like letting any information out, but he still really likes his Model Y. Like, just like you said, like the engineering and many things about it are exactly what you hoped it would be, or like exceeded expectations, and you're very happy.
Oh yeah.
Driving
and I would
it.
still never buy another car. Like I look at the new car market basically every day because I'm a car head. So I know every car that's for sale in the US market, at least.
Yeah.
And all their stats, and the Model Y is still like, there's no competition for it right now. So that's still the car I would buy today, except I would buy a used one today because when I bought mine, the used were not any cheaper than new. Whereas now you can get one with very few miles for like much less than the new price. So
interesting.
That's the only difference.
And one thing I haven't told you, I'm probably going to rent a Model 3. They're available at the close rental spot. I've never driven a Tesla, so I'm like, I'll probably have to ask you and Carl, like, hey,
I'm surprised that Carl didn't make you drive his.
Yeah,
That's gonna change your opinion even more once you drive it.
Really?
It's just like, it's like there's all the other cars, even like the best gasoline cars.
Yeah.
And then there's Teslas, like in how they feel to drive.
It's
so much better. It's insane.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'll probably bug you or him to just be like, hey, let me drive around the block. I'm like completely uninitiated. So yeah, we'll talk later, but yeah, I'm excited to check it out, get it on the highway, drive it around a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll have it for a few days. So
that's a great car to rent.
Next, this is from Sam. Do you wish you lived less frugally when you were younger?
Yeah. The answer is no, but partly because I didn't live all that frugally. Like I've always liked nice things. And I always just cut out what I thought was the waste, like my coworkers would buy a pickup truck with 6 wheels and drive it into work, and I would ride my bike into work. And then I would get the benefits of getting exercise and not caring about traffic. And like, oh, by the way, I also saved like $60,000 over just a few years compared to buying, this stupid truck.
Yep.
And then I would still have a nice car for going on road trips and stuff, but my cars just last 3 to 10 times longer than in other people's cars because I'm not driving them for no reason. So to me, that's cutting out waste rather than cutting out good stuff. There are, you can definitely do a slippery slope, and that's what causes people to get in fights and everything. You should try to practice your frugality in a way that doesn't affect other people. So you should ride to work, but you shouldn't try to nag your wife to ride to work, for example. So you can learn from she can decide if that's a good example, if she likes the results that you're seeing. Or you can like take a short shower, but you can't nag other people to take a short shower because they don't appreciate that. So that's the kind of stuff that is the difference between frugality that makes your life less good and that makes your life better. And I always just did what I want without really noticing what other people were doing. So,
right.
And then now, I splurge a little bit more on some things, but other things have kind of fallen out of my interest. So like, for example, my son doesn't cost much to raise anymore because he's mostly a grown up now. So even though I'm spending more money on things like travel and restaurants, my budget has kind of just randomly ended up about the same anyway. However, if you had a lower income, you might really have to make these choices. And as long as you do them consciously, they might be a little more painful, but they won't be total like deal breakers.
Right.
Because some people might really have to choose between owning a car or having healthy food.
Right.
And so you might want to choose, they might have to move to a neighborhood that they don't want to live in because they genuinely can't afford to live in a neighborhood that they do want to live in. So you might have to do things temporarily and then work hard to get out of the situation that you don't want to be in. And yeah, I think it's a battle everybody in the frugal community probably has to work on.
For me, I wasn't ultra frugal, nor are we now, but we always, in a similar way, like we knew what we valued. So like we would spend money on those areas. And I think as we got raises and progressed through our career, like we didn't start spending more. We weren't like, hey, I got promoted, I'm going to buy a new car. We were like, oh, we could save more, or we could, take a slightly different vacation, but like we kind of knew what we valued. And luckily, Elizabeth and I, like, it lined up pretty well. When we got married, we like sort of changed together and shifted from like our other friend groups that were doing different stuff. And one thing I was going to say, like one of the roots of the question is like from Sam here is like, if you were really frugal when you were young, like, do you feel like you missed out on anything? And one thing, because I wasn't that frugal, I actually did have a little credit card debt in my 20s, and I would go on these vacations that maybe I couldn't quite afford, or like there was some shell game of like moving money around or transferring a balance or something like that, which is not financially responsible, but I did fun shit and like it all worked out. It was like in my early 20s before, like I knew I was going to get a job that paid pretty well and I'd be okay. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go on this vacation and hang out with my friends, even though maybe it's not financially sound. If someone was like, should you put that on your card? It's like, no, probably not, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah, that stuff is great. And ideally you could do it without having to pay the credit card interest, because that's just taken away from even more money that you could spend with your friends. Like credit cards don't get you any more money.
Right.
They just quickly drain it. But I still think it's super wise advice. Have fun when you're young. And I didn't have a lot of fun in my college years, and not really because of frugality, but just because I was in engineering, which was like the school that I went to was just a profoundly non-fun program. Like it was all dudes. Everybody was super serious. There's very little joking around.
Same here. Yeah.
And the class schedule is really brutal. Like every morning it started at 8:30. There was never days off. And sometimes you'd be having like a test at 8:30 at night. So you had like 12, 14-hour school days. And on the weekend, I really just had to catch up on the schoolwork and, try to get some exercise and stuff. So, I'm glad the younger me did that program, but I would not put up with it nowadays. It was just such a crappy 4 years.
I didn't know we had that in common. Yeah, exact same kind of experience. And yeah, like long labs. And in fact, I was like, I got to get out of here. So I like took a couple semesters at like a community college for like some English classes, because I was like, I want to be around more girls. I want to hang out. Exactly. And like
artsy people are the fun people for me anyway.
Yeah.
It just wasn't there.
So anyway, moving on, we got some steaks waiting for us upstairs. So I believe Ariane is her name. Ariana, maybe.
I wonder if that's Ariane, Arizona, or her friend who've seen on trips. What's your current stance and practice on charitable giving? Yeah, you answer first.
Yeah. So want to do more. Like we don't actually give a lot currently in a like monetary standpoint. We do a lot of volunteering of time. So I mentor for a entrepreneurship startup accelerator, and that's an hour per week. And I've been doing it for a little while now. So that's pretty good. It like helps local businesses like get started, and you just kind of help them out from a mentoring standpoint. Occasionally I'll teach a class. Elizabeth has been doing like some volunteer work at the library and some other things like that. So we're working on the monetary component, but time it's more valuable than money in many ways. So, and a lot of people don't volunteer. So I feel confident in the stuff that we're doing.
You're still going to go to heaven then.
Yeah.
Your soul will be saved.
Yeah,
I think from what I've read is volunteering your time is the most rewarding way to do it. And it's the most, you feel like you have a better life and you're still definitely helping out. Whereas for people who have a lot of money, giving a lot of money is much more valuable than volunteering, because basically, like if you give $100,000 away, you might be employing 10 people in a lower income country to work for an entire year who might save 10,000 people's lives or something like that, or help 10,000 people in some way. So the richer you are, the more you should think about money instead of time. Because like the best giving should not really feel, unfortunately, it doesn't really feel all that emotionally connecting, because you're writing huge checks and you're not going to have time to even see the results. So it's good to keep both in mind. And not everybody has the luxury of being able to give large amounts of money away. And that's totally fine. No big deal. Like even if you just take care of yourself and be nice to everybody around you, you shouldn't feel guilty. And so I just try to encourage the wealthier people to think about that instead of, for example, especially like, instead of trying to pass on a big legacy to your children and be like, oh yeah, I want to make sure my kids are set for life. I want to have a $10 million estate to split up with everybody. Like, why not encourage them to earn their own money? It's obviously possible if you did it, and then try to make your estate go to charity, and then bring some of that giving more forward in your life so you can enjoy doing it while you're younger as well. Yep. And I guess that's my overall stance. And then my practice is, I was able to give away some pretty large amounts in past years when my blog earned a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. And I wrote articles about it to try to encourage people. Maybe we could link to those later. Yep. And then currently right now, to be honest, now that income source is mostly dropped off, I haven't been doing that same amount anymore because I would have to be giving away my retirement savings in order to keep that up. And I don't have the balls to do that, actually. Like, to be honest, I feel too fearful, even though it's irrational, to give away like $100,000 at a time. So I do small things here, like $1,000 here and there. And I'm still working on the bigger picture. Like, do I have the courage to keep doing that? Yeah. And I think what might be hanging me up is that I'm getting ready to buy a new house once I choose where it's going to be. And right now that's like an unknown, like how much is it going to cost? Can I afford it? And really the answer is yes. But until I'm done that, I'm not going to feel the kind of abundance of like, okay, now I don't need the rest of this money. Mm-hmm. So I feel like anything that keeps you from giving is usually fear. So you have to work on the fear rather than the logic side. You have to get rid of the fear that you won't have enough. And then you'll probably feel more generous about giving to other people.
Well said. James says this: one of the messages I get from Pete's writing is to do hard things and life becomes easy. How do you avoid slipping into a life of sedentary leisure?
I like his choice of words.
Yeah.
I think my message may have come across wrong in this case, because really I try to share the message of prioritize doing hard things, which are good for you, and they make your life better. And then you just end up with a surplus of money, but you're still doing hard things. So sedentary leisure, for me, that makes me instantly depressed. So I don't do much of it. Just like, at the end of a hard day of work, I might do an hour of sedentary leisure where I just sit on the couch and read stuff that I probably shouldn't be reading, just like random finance news is my junk food, or things like that. Or like I'll totally watch TV shows, if it's with somebody. Like I don't watch TV alone or anything like that. So hopefully that's what the message, I can share that more accurately in the future. Yeah. Because it's never been about getting yourself away from having to do any work. It's more about like free yourself up to do your best work.
And have the autonomy. I know for me, like I feel much better if I'm working on something that I want to. And like, I think it's okay to have some leisure time and where you sit down and do nothing. And what I find is I'm like currently taking a little bit of a break from working out, because usually I'll go to the gym like every day, and then I'm like not sleeping quite as much because it's summertime and I wake up earlier, even with an eye mask on and all that stuff. But I realize like, hey, my body's getting beat up and I need to rest a couple days, even though I'm like, I want to do more. And I bet you have the same thing. You're out in the sun, you're doing some construction, you're biking, you're doing other shit outside, and then you're like, oh, I'm tired. So like those days you're just like, I better lay down and just chill out,
Like do whatever feels good. And for some people, there are genuinely some people who can enjoy a life of sedentary leisure. Yeah. And if that's what works for them, that's fine. Like it's boring for me, and we'll probably never hear of those people's accomplishments because they're not doing anything, but I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me if they're doing that. I'm not going to like be the internet leisure police and be like, I've been following your Instagram account and I see you're just always on the beach. You're not getting anything done, loser. Even though I'm sure there are people who do that too. Yeah. It's like to each his own. I really don't care what other people do, unless, I just try to police, destructive behaviors. So I promote behaviors where people can live in harmony without like polluting each other off the planet and that kind of stuff.
And I would say, move around, like get some exercise, like be healthy, but yeah, you don't have to constantly do hard things. And like I'm hopefully in a period of time where I am being a little more lazy and less productive. And I assume in a couple years, I'll be like excited about some other thing and I'll be much more productive. But I've been productive for many years and I'm like, I'm fine. I'm actually pretty happy not doing a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
So
As long as you check in with yourself and see how it's going, like some people naturally do too much and they wreck their lives without realizing that they're doing too much and they would genuinely enjoy more rest.
yeah.
But I always take rest when I need it. Like I take a nap almost every day. Like if it's a heavy physical day with a lot of sunshine, I'll just do like 15 minutes snooze and then I get back up and get back to work and that's totally fine. And then I sleep 8 or 9 hours a day. So there's never a shortage of recovery time.
It's the way to do it. This one's from Mike. What's the biggest project that you've taken yourself and how did that go? And any advice for people that want to do more repairs and improvement projects on their own?
Oh, this question isn't on my copy of the document, but
oh, that's a fresh one. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, the biggest project I've taken myself, well, it's probably, if we're just talking about optional projects, it would be building houses from scratch. Like when I started in a house building company with a friend. So, and it turned out to be too much for me. So I backed up afterwards and I like to do medium-sized projects. And my typical favorite size of project now is like 1 week to a month.
Okay.
Stuff that's just like you can finish it. There's a definite start, there's a definite middle, and then an end, and then you can just like clean your hands and then move on to the next thing. For me, mentally, it's really nice to not have too many loose ends of things that I'm still working on.
Very good. Yeah. And I, a lot of my friends do these bigger projects, like you said, maybe a couple weeks worth. And I understand what I like to do and what I want to learn about. And it's not those typically. So I've been doing some smaller things like you saw in the garage, like I put up some shelves and organization and completely, as you mentioned, I had many more brackets than I needed. As like you could put thousands of pounds of stuff up there. But yeah, like little projects that are just beyond my comfort level are kind of perfect. So I don't have I see you guys doing stuff and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do that. So.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know yourself. And if that doesn't make you excited, then don't do it. And then I like working with people when they do want to do something and don't quite know how. Like to me, that's one of my favorite levels of things to work with. But I also like working with other experts, like just when the ace carpenters get together for a day, it's like a super band where everybody, and we all just know what to do and we just build like an entire thing in one day. That's really fun too, because there's no teaching. It's just like collaboration.
Nice.
And yeah.
Very good. Okay. I think we covered everything that we needed to. Anything else on your mind, Pete?
No, other than I can't wait to see where Mile Hi-Fi goes next.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get you back on for another. I don't know exactly what we'll cover, but always enjoy having you on the show, and it's good to catch up.
Are we doing anything at Camp Fi related to Mile Hi-Fi in early July? A bunch of us are going to be together in Colorado Springs, Doug and myself as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see if we can produce anything for the people, even if it's not a normal episode.
Yeah.
It could be something.
I often do a live recording there, so we should be able to figure something out. And I'll always have my gear, so we may be able to sneak off to the side and record something else too. Yeah, do some vlogs or something. Yeah,
like a super quick portrait of people and what they want, or the most interesting person at Camp Fi this year would be another fun, just randomly select someone as the most interesting.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thanks, Pete. I think everyone knows where to find you, but we'll put a link in the description if they want to check out your blog. And you mentioned a couple links, and we'll include those in the show notes too. So thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks for listening to the show. That was the Mile Hi-Fi podcast, and I'm Doug Cunnington. If you dig the show, please do 3 things for us. Number 1, tell a friend, a family member, an enemy about the show. We really don't care who you tell. Maybe forward them a specific show that you know that they will like. It's the single most helpful thing that you can do to spread the word. It's like giving us a virtual high five, and actually we don't give high fives in person, so the virtual kind's pretty good. And more importantly, your friend or family member or even your enemy will appreciate the fact that you were thinking of them. Number 2, make sure you're following or subscribed on your podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, YouTube, whatever you're using. And that way you won't miss a show. And number 3, please leave us a rating and review. We read them on the show occasionally, and you might hear yours out there on an upcoming episode. Quick disclaimer. This show is not financial or legal advice. I'd actually be surprised if it sounded like it. It's really just for entertainment, and that's at least what we're hoping for. But seriously, get advice from professionals. So we'll catch y'all next week. Elizabeth and I have been trying to eat out a little bit more often. Because, and it's like weird because it's like not the normal financial advice,
Right.
People are like, save money by eating in, but we eat in so often. And we were like, we want to try restaurants and we want to support local businesses. Do you eat out very often?
Whenever I want to.
Yeah.
But it really depends on the phase of my life. Like if I'm going on a lot of first dates, like I was, a couple of years ago, then that was more a bigger restaurant thing. Big restaurant year. Nowadays, I'm kind of settled in, and we just go out for, if you're on a road trip or something or a vacation, that's more likely to go out. Or if there's a restaurant you specifically like and want to have a night out.
Yeah.
So the main thing is my values around eating out haven't really changed since the old days, which is you should go out sounds like you are as an experience. Like you do it because you want the experience. You don't do it just because you're hungry. Like, so your food comes from your house, but the experiences can come from restaurants, right, as long as you're purposeful about it.
And on road trips, are you, I'll frame it a little different. And I'll tell you, we'll eat at like crappy fast food restaurants. I have no issue with that. Enjoy like Wendy's or like whatever you run into. Occasionally you'll see like some kind of chicken fingers or fried chicken. I love that stuff. Hot out of the fryer.
Popeyes is still a favorite for me, as long as it's a signature chicken, not just the nuggets.
So you're down with some clearly unhealthy food, fast food, where you're like, I'm not putting it in my body every day, but it works for now.
Well, yeah, except for it's like healthy in the sense that it's, got crappy ingredients, but the macronutrients are still good if you eat fried chicken, because like protein and fat are good, whereas sugars are the devil. Yeah. So you'll never see me eating donuts or soft drinks or, even cookies and stuff. So I would think like eating cookies at home is worse than eating Popeye's fried chicken on the road, according to my nutritional value system. That's
true. So true. I'm no better than that. I try to stay away from the sweets, but it was around my birthday trip, and I was like, today's my birthday, and I got like 5 desserts or whatever. Like, I love sweets, but I usually stay away from them because I'll eat all of it. I'll eat the whole, whatever, the sleeve of cookies or the whole, I just love it. So, all right. So yeah, I just got to stay away from it. All right.
There's a great chapter in the Jocko Willink book, which is like called Discipline Equals Freedom. And I have the audio version of that, which I listen to occasionally, like to help get motivated. And one of the chapters is just called Sugar-Coated Lies. He's like, you see it there in the office. They're donuts. I should eat them because they're free, right? Wrong. That's not food. It's poison. I feel like printing that out or using the printed version and putting it in the HQ whenever people like bring these trays of donuts and cookies, which they keep bringing in. I'm like, this is like bringing Satan worship stuff into a church. You can't bring trays of Danishes into Mr. Money Mustache headquarters.
It's funny.
But it happens all the time.
Yeah. It's like the default. Like, Elizabeth is actually, she's always like, oh, we should bring a dessert. And I'm like, stop bringing dessert everywhere. But
it's not food.
That's a good Chaco impression, by the way.